Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Slightly wintry conditions today in December, getting all a bit chilly, but here to warm your souls and entertain you on this Friday evening is Michael McCubbin and Henry Hill. Let's kick off with you, McCubbin. Are you alright?
I'm okay, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. How are you, Diggs?
Yeah, I'm okay. Mr. Henry Hill, how are you?
There's no special reason why that's been given. I won't lie, I'm tired, just done Sunday vibes.
You a bit emotional, tired and emotional?
Yeah, this room smells of Yorkshire puddings, which they've been cooking in the kitchen, so that's making me hungry and
It must be
sleepy
like
as well.
the first day of their Christmas menu, mustn't it? We've got this for the next couple of weeks now.
But I put up my Julian Nagelsmann inspiration. His original kit, by the way.
Love it.
Not a remake. He donated it to the thrift shop in Brixton, where I got it from. Here it is.
I'd love to bump into Julian Nagelsmann in Brixton. But yeah, here we are back in the East Dulwich Tavern. Shout out to them as usual, doing a fantastic job hosting us. But let's kick off with today's show, because we've got a question in from Adam Pease 8, who is definitely a real person, not a question I made up. And it says, what do the big clubs need to do in January? So the January window, guys, opens in just 29 days. So you can kind of bet that every club's sporting director and manager are busy looking at their current squad and thinking, you know, where can we improve in what is a tricky month notoriously to do business? McCubbs, let's kick off with, to clarify, we didn't just want to do the clubs that are really struggling. I feel like we've talked a lot about Juventus and a lot about Barcelona on previous Continental Clubs. So we've actually picked out some clubs that are doing quite well as well, but maybe just sort of perfectionists in us are trying to, you know, fix that little extra 2-3%. McCubbs, we're kicking off with Bayern Munich at the suggestion of Fod Bold Inter, and there seems like there's maybe one position that they could strengthen.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all we do have to consider Bayern Munich possibly have the best starting lineup in Europe. but like, fair. I mean, I think Man City are the only ones who can really challenge them on that. Perhaps I think Man City are the only ones who can really challenge them, and even then, I think Bayern's attack just is so much better. Yeah. At least on paper. I mean, when you look at the form that Leroy Sané's found now, and Serge Gnabry, I think, has been incredibly, you know, consistent over the last few years. And obviously, Lewandowski is Lewandowski. On that though, I do think, you know, we've been talking about it for years. I think replacing Lewandowski could be a problem for them in the next, 2-3 years. And it's just knowing when he's inevitably going to drop off. It felt like he might have started doing that already, but he hasn't. So it's just, I think it will just come as a shock potentially when that eventually does happen. And I don't know, maybe they will try and go for Haaland next summer. If they can't get Haaland, then I think that could be a problem for them. But in terms of their squad now, I mean they've scored more goals than anyone else in Europe's top 5 leagues. They've got a better goal difference. I think their points per game is the 3rd best in Europe. Their expected goals difference is the best in Europe. Their expected goals difference per 90 best in Europe. So everything about this Bayern side at the moment is near enough perfect. But yeah, one position where you wouldn't say they're world class is right back. And I know, I've heard you have your reservations about Benjamin Pavard.
Perhaps a bit rudely, maybe just as a right back. I know you do,
but I quite like him actually. I think he is a very good defender, and I think attacking wise he's not amazing. I think in some ways, I think the problem with Pavard is that they don't actually necessarily, in order to play like they do, or in order to win the Bundesliga and go far in the Champions League, they don't actually necessarily need to have 2 amazing attacking right backs. Yeah. Alphonso Davies is, one of the best attacking left backs in the world, and they have so much productivity coming from midfield that I do feel like Pavard can kind of do his job there. But equally, if Sula leaves next year, then they will need more cover at centre back. I think if we want, if you want Bayern to be kind of upgraded to the point where, they've got 2 fullbacks who can do everything, then a slightly more dynamic right back would be really useful. If Pavard could find a home at centre back, then that would sort out a bit of a problem for them in some senses. Because I remember in that first year that Hansi Flick was in charge, that was a bit of a problem because I think Pavard got injured for a while, and it meant that Kimmich then had to come in at right back, and it actually it really affected their midfield. Obviously, Kimmich is a great right back, but not having him in midfield was a big problem for them, and it kind of derailed the whole way that they played. So I think in that sense, I think getting cover at right back would be really good for them. I know they've got what's his name? Is it Pasalic?
Stanisic,
sorry, not Pasalic. They've got Stanisic who's injured at the moment, and I know like some Bayern fans quite fond of him. But if they want someone who's, I don't know, if they want someone who could hold that position for years, I think Tariq Lamptey would be a really good shout. Obviously, he's just come back from injury at Brighton, and in some ways it'd be like, I don't think Bayern would necessarily have to pay what they would have had to pay last year when they were linked with him, when Tariq Lamptey was pretty much the most kind of in-demand right back, or young right back at least in Europe, because obviously he's had this near enough a year out with injury. But I was watching against Leeds on the weekend. I thought he was excellent. I think he was probably Brighton's best attacking outlet in a lot of ways, him and Trossard at least. And he has the attributes to be able to make it at the top level. I think he quite aggressive defensively. He makes nearly 4 tackles and interceptions a game. He also creates a chance. That's something that could probably come up and probably would come up in this Bayern side. Interesting, he only completes 1.3 dribbles a match. I feel like he's always beating his man. But I think he's got what it takes. He's also apparently, he's also been linked with Man United recently, which is no surprise considering kind of Wan-Bissaka's limitations in the final third, and the fact that there's a new regime coming in at United.
Henry looks particularly frustrated with
Wan-Bissaka. I have faith Wan-Bissaka could improve, but but nevertheless, someone at least in Lamptey's kind of profile, I think, would be the kind of person that Bayern would want to look at if they really wanted to maximise the attacking output from the right-hand side.
Do you remember when Max Aarons was all the chat?
I was just about to say that.
Do you think I would say his stock has gone down a little bit after this season. I think if there was a point for them to sell him, it was certainly last year for that £25 million mark. Do you think that might be worth Bayern having a look at? Is he the kind of player that could slot in there and elevate himself around better players, or do you think his chance is gone?
I mean, potentially, but even with Lamptey, the problem. I think the thing is we've seen more. Like Lamptey is much more impressive in the Premier League, but equally he's been playing in a better side, I think, and a side that suits his strengths a lot more. With Aarons, I feel like I haven't seen enough of Aarons, or at least I've not seen enough of like Aarons' best games in order to really make a judgment on that. But equally, I think you could give a number of players to Nagelsmann and he could make them incredible, couldn't he? So I wouldn't write off the idea of Aarons becoming a really good right back at Bayern.
If I was Bayern, I'd put in a cheeky bid for Dest, Serginho Dest. I just tempt the waters. I'd offer like 20-25 million and see what Barcelona do.
I think if by like January or like by the second half of the season, it looks like Dest isn't the man that kind of Xavi really wants at right back, then I think he'd be a great pickup for them in the summer for sure.
Well, they're playing Mingueza there at the moment, aren't they? Yeah. Which is a little bit degrading for Dest. But just quickly on Aarons, I don't really see the hype, to be honest. Okay. I think he's played in really bad Premier League teams, obviously, and I don't watch that much Championship football because I end up watching a lot of League One to my, problems. My detriment is the word I'm looking for. But Max Aarons, I think he's really overhyped, to be honest, but I'm willing to be proved wrong on that. Let's move over to Italy with the side in Milan who are, got a crucial win last night. We're filming this on a Thursday against Genoa, against Andriy Shevchenko's Genoa as well. So extra nice for them. And I saw Daniele Maldini go up and give Shevchenko a big hug after the game as well. Obviously, he must have known him when he was growing up as Maldini's son. Anyway, Milan might have a little bit of an issue in January, Henry, with some of their midfield options. Yeah,
it is a little bit alarming, and they've got a lot riding on the second half of the season, don't they? I mean, 1 point behind Napoli at the moment, who threw away a 2-goal lead against Sassuolo. Scamacca, once again, another banger. He's scoring screamers of fun at the moment, Scamacca. One to watch. Maybe they should go for him, who knows? But I mean, Benacer and Kessié, both going off to the African Cup of Nations. By the way, a lot of people have been rude about the AFCON. Leave it alone. It's not its fault. It's an important part of it.
To be fair, it was originally meant to be in the summer, wasn't it? They were going to change it to the summer. But now,
but it's been this way always. This has always been the status quo. Like, teams know this is what they're getting into. Suddenly having it, it's a lot of the teams that are suddenly doing well that are getting quite fussy about it. Anyway, leave it alone. Big deal for them to go represent their country. But that leaves them with Tonali and Bakayoko as their only real sort of starting options in midfield. Tonali's obviously been brilliant. They did so well to get him on a bit of a cheap transfer last year, sort of drive down his asking price originally from Brescia. But yeah, Bakayoko, it's been a bit tricky. We thought it was going to be a happy return to Milan for him after impressing on loan there recently. Obviously played well at Napoli is on loan there too. But 149 league minutes across 6 appearances, just one start isn't what he was hoping for. It's difficult when you are doing so well. And obviously Pioli doesn't want to tinker with his team too much with sort of the success that's coming their way. But he's also missed 8 games of injury, so it's not brilliant. And also Milan are slightly overperforming as a side. I think it's a slightly harsh statistic, really. It says they're the 6th best side in Serie A by expected points, but they deserve a fair amount of respect for some of the results that they're putting out at the moment. And yeah, Kessie's a funny player, isn't he? He's a funny one to replace because there's not something that you'd say there's not something stand out about his game which you'd say
penalties. He's good at penalties.
Yeah, he's very good at penalties. He's a very good penalty taker, and you need one of those, don't you? 2.5 tackles and interceptions, 2.4 shot creating action per 90, 4 progressive passes. That is very good. I think he's a very solid link in that midfield. He can obviously going forward, going backwards as well. I think a lot of decent sides in Europe who are looking for that kind of reliable midfielder should be taking stock of him. I think we've seen Liverpool have shown how effective you can be if you have 3 just sort of very high performing midfielders to an extent, and I think Kessié would fit into a team anyway looking to sort of replicate that model. But if we look at someone they could bring in return, I like that you've included Gravenberch here. I can't see that happening in January.
It was the dream move, you know.
It's the dream move. Obviously, that is an exciting move.
Where is he going to go? It's going to be great.
Yeah, he's going to stay at Ajax, like they all should. Keep the dream alive. But
he'd look great in a Milan kit. I'm just thinking he would actually be, it'd be great. If he was their kind of poster boy of like the Renaissance at the San Siro, it would be. Yeah,
and I don't know if Ajax can command 45 million for players at the moment. I think you could. I think he will be slightly maybe outside of the budget of what AC Milan are working with at the moment. Other options though, who I think could be good. Tolisso, I really like Tolisso. Sorrentino. He doesn't really. It's so difficult, as we were just mentioning about that Bayern Munich side, to break in. But whenever he does play, when he puts a run together, he scores goals. He is effective. I really like him as midfielder. Slightly worrying with his injury record. We saw like Leeds linked with him, didn't we, in the summer? I think this would be obviously a much better move for him as well. But I absolutely love this next suggestion, Maxence Caqueret. His deal expires in 2023. He's valued at £15 million by transfer marks as well. Maybe Houssem Aouar as well. He's a slightly different player, a bit more attacking, but he can play a bit deeper as well in the midfield. But Caqueret, 15 Liga appearances this season, 3.5 tackles and interceptions. He's got a key pass in him. He's just very solid on the ball, isn't he? He's just he looks like a really
wonderful player to watch.
Yeah, he's a class act. And once again, I think if you are looking to replace Kessié, he maybe doesn't have the same physicality, but he's a slightly different player. But he could perfectly slot in there next to Tonali. That'd be quite a sort of Milan, very sort of typical Milan style midfield. If it's a bit of a throwback there. Maybe Malinovsky, I see you've got here as well. I struggle to see it. He's a lot more attacking, brilliant in the final third. With the attacking talent that Milan have got, I can kind of see that. His sort of ability to make that final deft pass, to break the line, is exceptional. And with people like Leao arriving from deep, Ibrahimovic, Giroud, etc. as well, I'd love to see that link up would be brilliant. Although Atalanta, you know, they've got a title challenge in them as well this season, so I'd be amazed if... Probably, I imagine gunning for the Champions League qualifications as well. I'd be surprised if that happens. But Caqueret and Tolisso, those are the two I reckon would be worth pursuing, especially with Lyon not really going anywhere.
Yeah. Speaking of Bayern, I was writing about Mark Rocker for the latest scout report. Suggested, I think Real Betis are trying to get him on loan in January. If you need midfield reinforcements, I think he's a good guy as well. Like seriously needs his confidence rebuilding because he's basically not been used at all by Nagelsmann, which is a little bit concerning. But
a lot of the pictures in that scout report, he looked pretty miserable.
Yeah, I don't think he's having the best time there. But like, he was amazing at Espanyol. Like, you know, he was really running that midfield at 22 years of age in a really bad Espanyol team. You know, his passing is really good. I don't know whether he necessarily has the physicality element. Might be a little bit of a worry. He's not the most productive defender, but his passing is excellent. So if you are looking for someone who can, you know, pick out players, you know, on the break and whatnot, I think Mark Rocker's a really good shout. But,
I like it.
But yeah, I don't know whether he's like the perfect fit for Milan. But equally, I think he needs to go somewhere this January.
Milan their signings have been brilliant recently. I think Maldini
They've really improved,
Maldini's been an excellent director of that club, and I think whatever they go for, I think it'll always be exciting at the moment, because their hit rate at the moment is brilliant when it comes to signings.
No, for sure. It's interesting who they go for this central midfield option, because obviously Tonali and Benacer can cover further back as well. Benacer slightly dropped out of the team, so maybe that's why I was thinking a more attacking option. I think Aouar was a good shout, although apparently he's a bit of a tricky guy to work with. Malinovsky, I think, was a bit of a dream, to be honest, and that would probably take the place of Brahim Diaz as well.
Well, him and Brahim Diaz both behind in like a 3 or like a 4.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. He's got such a good shot on him, Malinovsky. But yeah, Caqueret, I think, is a very good shout. I like that one. Right, guys, I'm going to hit you with some ones that other people have suggested, and we can see what we guys thought.
All right.
So Jagan0903 was talking about his team Roma, and he was suggesting that they need a more sort of solid midfield presence. And this was another player that came up in McCubbs' scout report that he wrote. And you were saying Dennis Zakaria might be linked there. But I was thinking, I don't know what you guys think about this. You know, with Big Ralph coming in at Man United, maybe he won't be so keen on this player. He was linked with Liverpool as well. But Yves Bissouma, Brighton to Roma. I feel like that's a nice level move. He's been very good this year again, Bissouma, and gets left with a lot of work to do in that Brighton midfield as well. But yeah, close to 6 tackles and interceptions, which is just insane. That's mad. Can you guys see Bissouma going to Roma, or do you think he can aim higher?
I don't know if Roma would be able to afford him, is the only thing. I feel like they're kind of cutting costs at the moment. I think the reason why they're linked with Zakaria is because they could potentially get him really cheap in January.
Because his contract's out, isn't he?
Yeah. But I mean, I think he'd be brilliant there. Like, I think he would really suit a Mourinho team incredibly well. You know, he's the sort of guy that, you know, would have suited Mourinho really well at Tottenham or United. I think better than the players he had at his disposal. But yeah, I think he probably could aim higher. Like, I think he needs to go for a Champions League club, and Roma are not. They're a Europa. Well, they're a Europa Conference League club, aren't they? But they're
not particularly good on it.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they'll probably be a Europa League club next season. They'll hope at least.
Lost again this week, didn't they?
Yeah. So like, I mean,
Bologna.
Yeah. To be fair, like Bologna are decent, but like, or they're having a decent season at least. But yeah, I think Bissouma can aim a bit higher for sure. Okay, there we have it. Henry, I'll come to you with the next one. Nishay_ suggested that although there's a lot of problems at Barcelona, you know, with their central defence is probably an area they need to look at. Striker is clearly another issue they need to look at. This guy on Twitter, and I kind of agreed, suggests that maybe they need to think about replacing Ter Stegen. It's obviously not. It's obviously not a top priority.
I don't know.
The defence is falling to pieces, and you're going for the goalkeeper.
I think Ter Stegen has been quite poor by his exceptional standards for the last 2-3 years.
I'm going to be honest. I really don't agree. I really don't like. And
he's not had a great season.
He hasn't had a great season.
He hasn't had a great
I
few
respect
years.
that he's, you know, over the last 2.5 seasons, he's conceded 3.7 more goals than what he was expected to. Barcelona's defence has been rubbish. It's not been as bad as perhaps some people make out. Under Coman, it was a bit more solid. I think that's maybe something that's quite lost from time to time. And I appreciate that he has probably made a few mistakes, but I still think Ter Stegen's in the top 10 keepers in the world when he is playing well. He's only 29. Considering the kind of all the youth they're flooding into that side at the moment, I think replacing one of the players who's been there for a long time is, for me, it doesn't sit too well. We've got here a replacement, potentially Jan Sommer. don't get me wrong, I like Jan Sommer, but is he really an upgrade? Is he really an upgrade on Ter Stegen?
I like Jan Sommer.
I like him too, and he is under. He is under.
His script getting ripped apart.
Yeah, what? Saved 9 XG.
It's really difficult to think of goalkeeping suggestions. I've got to say, get in the comments, guys. Goalkeepers that are actually available of a really high quality. It's really difficult out there. So maybe this is not the time to replace this.
I think it's tough with Barcelona in general because I think Barca need a centre back badly, but it's hard to locate who exactly that centre back is. I think.
Yeah. I think
maybe someone like Sven Botman or someone.
Ooh, very nice.
Off the top of my head.
I'd like that.
There we have it, guys.
Nice.
Do you like Sven Botman to Barca? I do quite like that. But I think they'll be fine, as soon as they get Super Ferran Torres in.
If that happens, that's a transformative signing, I think, for Barcelona.
I agree.
Attack.
Okay, so Bissouma got poo-pooed on. Ter Stegen went out the window. My final one, the Haas Kareem suggests, hey Haas, if you're watching, suggests that Real Madrid have a serious lack of depth at right wing and right back as well, he also said, which is a good point because Lucas Vazquez obviously has to often cover for Dani Carvajal. Obviously, next summer, it looks like they're going to sign Mbappe. He could play at right wing, he could play as a striker and replace Benzema, essentially. But I thought a good option for a player that could be available at some stage, Kingsley Coman, Coman, I should say, for Real Madrid. Contract expiring in 2023, really solid numbers since the start of last season. And he just strikes me as someone that would love the opportunity to play for Real Madrid and compete the Juve, Bayern, Real triumvirate, if that is even a thing.
He is that.
Do you guys like that more?
Real Madrid is his level of club. That's the thing. It's almost a perfect level for him in that Bayern is really hard to break into. I think of Real's right wingers at the moment, I think Kingsley Coman is better.
He'd be better than Asensio.
Yeah,
better than Rodrigo.
Asensio's been playing well recently. Asensio's massively improved.
But I do think Kingsley Coman is just and Kingsley Coman is still kind of waiting to explode in a lot of ways. The only worry is that injury record. I just think Real Madrid's transfer kind of record in recent years in terms of, I just think they're so burned by Hazard. I think it would just be a risk for them. It kind of depends how much they'd have to pay, I guess.
Makes sense.
I really like this. I think it's a great suggestion. I can't see,
finally.
I can't see Nagelsmann wanting to lose one of his because I think Bayern, they've always liked having 4 wingers, sort of 2 on each side that can really compete. And you never know what could happen with Gnabry, etc. I think when Coman plays well, he plays unbelievably well. If I was Real Madrid, this is my little cheeky suggestion, I would put in a bid for Raheem Sterling and just see if he is...
Quite guessable.
If he is, because he's saying he might want to leave, whatever. I would put in like a £35 million bid and just kind of see what he say. No, because they're saying £45 million.
Are they actually saying £45 million would be enough?
Yeah, so if you try and sort of meet in the middle on that one, I think that'd be amazing. And he'd be great. He'd be a massive upgrade on those two as well. He's a bit more versatile than Asensio. Rodrigo, dare I say it, has fallen behind Vinicius in the ranks. But Coman, that is the level of what they should be going after. They should be going after sort of a real top level out and out right winger to kind of continue their steamroll towards the La Liga title. Yeah,
they're doing very well at the moment. I like the shout of Sterling actually. I think I'd rather go to Real Madrid than Arsenal, which seems like his best option at the moment. Guys, what do you guys think about our January fixes for your club's biggest problems? These guys didn't really like mine, but what do you guys make of them? Get your thoughts in the comments down below, and let's move on to big match predictions. Okay guys, get a load of this. Here are the results from last week's big match predictions. So Real Madrid versus Sevilla. I'm not going to go through all of them.
I've seen them already.
It was 2-1 to Real Madrid in the end. I and Henry got 1 point each. McCubs, you went for Sevilla. Napoli versus Lazio. Henry went for Lazio. McCubs went for a draw. I went for Napoli. RB Leipzig versus Bayer Leverkusen. I was the only person to back Bayer Leverkusen. They won.
I'm hating this.
Didn't get a perfect score though. Henry with Atalanta went for a draw. Wrong. McCubs went for a draw. Wrong. Doogie went for Atalanta. Got 1 point. And Villarreal Barcelona. McCubs went 0-0. Ended up being 3-1. Henry went for a Villarreal win. So at this stage, it might seem like you guys should just switch off because it seems like we know absolutely nothing. But I did
aside from you got every single.
I did get every result right, but I didn't get any perfect scores, which is weird because normally in this game I've been particularly bad over the last few years. But yeah, look at the leaderboard. It's on the right-hand side of your screen right now. It's got me on 5 points, Henry on 1, and McCubs on 0.
Mystic Mike, eh?
I'm going to come back.
Right, McCubs, let's kick off with Der Klassiker. This
Yeah.
is your opportunity.
Yeah.
It's second versus first in the Bundesliga, separated
man.
by just 1 point. What are your thoughts about this one?
Thing is, I just feel like Dortmund's like.
Oh no!
Haaland's back. Daniel Malen scored a banger in
He's scored a couple recently.
I'm really happy for him actually, because I think there was a bit of a fear that maybe the task was too big for him at Dortmund, and he looks really confident. So it'll be interesting to see whether Marco Rose decides to integrate them both into this side. Gio Reyna's come back as well after missing most of the first bit of the season. But now, because now I've got to play such catch up, do I play it safe and go for the Bayern win?
Play the
no,
percentages.
I'm not actually. I'm not. I'm going to say.
He rolls the dice.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Borussia Dortmund.
Wow.
I think.
Henry, you look like you're about to say something crazy too.
I've been backing Dortmund
I
against the
know.
odds the whole season, to be fair.
I was going to go for a draw, then I've read here that there hasn't been a draw in this fixture since March 2016. That's 18 matches.
Records are there to be broken.
Yeah. Bayern aren't blowing teams away in their same.
Not in the last month. Yeah.
Recently, Arminia Bielefeld, they beat them 1-0. I'm kind of recovered on this one.
Really?
This is going to be. Doogie's going to sweep us up again.
I'm coming in for a perfect.
Listen,
score.
Dortmund have. I mean, it sounds obvious, but Dortmund really have to win. If they're serious about going for a title charge. They've been very good at home this season.
Yeah.
I think they've hardly lost, if at all, in the Bundesliga. So I'm going to give them on that. Oh, they got beaten by accident though. Sod it. 1-0 to Borussia Dortmund. Haaland 51 and 51.
What are you guys doing?
What did you go for?
This is nuts.
2-1. Haaland's goal as well the other day was great.
So you went 1-0.
Yeah.
You went 2-1.
That's ludicrous.
I mean,
isn't it?
listen to this, guys. Bayern have won their last 6 Der Klassiker matches, scoring 18 goals in those games to BVB's 7. Bayern have won 14 of the last 18 games against them. Like, they have a serious stronghold in this game. I'm going for another fairly easy win for them. I think it will be 3-1 to Bayern.
I don't know what Marco Rose's record against Bayern was with Mönchengladbach. I don't know if they beat them last year.
I've always, when Gladbach knocked them out of the Pokal, everyone was like, oh, classic Gladbach, always beat Bayern. So maybe he did quite well. Guys, correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. So there we go. We've kicked off big match predictions with a little tasty one there. Let's move on to Roma versus Inter. 5th versus 3rd in Serie A. They're separated by 9 points. There's a bit of a chasm emerging between the top 3 in Italy and the rest. It's a bit like the Premier League this year.
Yeah.
Fantastic three-way title battle. Henry, you can kick off this. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, you know what? Although Roma lost to Genoa, they dominated the game.
Bologna.
Yes, correct, to Bologna. Tammy Abraham needs to start putting away some more chances.
Did you see that header?
Yeah. He's getting in the right positions. He scored some good goals, but for the money they paid for him, he needs to start converting more of his chances. He's doing everything right, but the final finish.
I thought he was going to get 20 league goals. I don't know whether he will.
I reckon maybe next season. I reckon he's on the path to do so, but the way it works at Roma under Mourinho is if it starts going wrong, it's not the kind of place where you get given opportunities and opportunities. His saving grace really is that Shomurodov is his backup there, and he's not getting much opportunity or looks in there. They've started playing Carlos Perez a bit more. But yeah, so Abraham's going to have chances to score, but he needs to start taking them because that's really what's holding them back. Inter got another good win. Now they're just 2 points behind the leaders, 1 point behind Milan. Lautaro Martinez has looked brilliant in the absence of Lukaku. I actually quite like Joaquin Correa as well in there as well. I think he's been pretty decent as backup. So yeah, I'm probably going to go for an Inter win on this one. I think Roma might score, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 Inter Milan victory. I think there's just more going for them at the moment.
The bad news for Roma, Cubs, is that Lorenzo Pellegrini's out as well.
Massive.
And he's been so good for them this year.
Yeah, I mean, their attacks have pretty much all gone through him, haven't they? I think that's a massive loss for Roma, and I just think Roma have been better defensively than usual, but equally, I still don't trust that defence that much. I think the midfield is shaky. And I think Inter I really like Inter's attacking play.
Yep.
I think it's going to be 3-1 to Inter.
3-1. Okay. What did you say?
2-1.
2-1, 3-1. I'm always tempted to go a bit different from you guys, but I think in this one I'll just play the percentages. I think 2-1 as well. Fair, we can both go for the same.
Right.
Yeah, we'll take home the points, guys. You guys need to catch up with me. Okay, third one, quickly before we get into our quickfire questions. Real Sociedad versus Real Madrid. First versus third in La Liga. Los Blancos are now 7 points ahead of anyone in the league. They got that 1-0 win against Athletic Club last night. Obviously, we filmed this on a Thursday, as I said earlier. Through that Benzema goal. It was a bit of a scrappy one in the end, but it was a lovely build-up. What are we thinking about this, McCubs?
I can't see this being anything other than a Real Madrid win, really.
Yeah.
I just think Real Sociedad have impressed this season at points. I think I still see them dropping out of the top 4 by the end of the season. I just think that squad isn't quite deep enough.
Yeah.
And I just think Real Madrid are pretty much better in every area of the pitch. I know there's been a lot of talk about them overperforming expected goals and stuff loads, and yes, like Benzema and Vinicius, like everything they hit goes in. But equally, they could just keep up that form for a while. They're like Benzema is certainly that good a player.
And when they bring Kingsley Coman in January.
Exactly, yeah, they're going to be unstoppable. So yeah, I think it will be like 2-0 Real Madrid.
Fair. Real Sociedad had a loss last weekend, Henry. Do you think
they did,
could bounce back from that?
To be fair, that was their first loss since the opening game of the season. They really have been impressive this term. Mikel Moreno, one of my favourite players. Oyarzabal as well. I think I'm amazed that he's not been...
He's surely got to leave at some point in the next season.
He
tears it up for the Spanish national side as well. Really good player. It says they're the 6th best side by expected points. I think they deserve to be where they are. I'm going to go for a draw on this one.
Okay.
I can see a 1-1 draw coming in. Obviously, Sociedad don't lose all too often. Madrid, crept past Athletic Club this week. I think Sociedad are a much better side than that. Obviously, that Vinicius strike is what beat Sevilla. So yeah, 1-1. Why not 1-1? I'm going to back Sociedad at home as well to get something out of this game.
Love it. They wouldn't have had... I don't think they've got a midweek game as well, Real Sociedad, unless they're playing in the Cup.
Remember, this is huge for them. This is a huge game for them.
Absolutely.
If they can close the gap on, 7 points ahead, whatever, but if they can close the gap, then they're going to keep the belief alive in the best country.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're going in with a great shout of Champions League football at the very least. But having said that, I'm going 2-0 to Real Madrid.
Super safe, man.
That's what I'm going for. Guys, get all your predictions in the comments down below. And let's move on to our quickfire question very quickly. Dom Sullivan18's asked quite a nice one. He's a Spurs fan. He put on Twitter and he said he was looking to adopt a club on the continent. He said he wasn't abandoning Spurs, but he was looking for a little, continental flair to his weekend watching. He says, who should I follow? Henry, you've got some niche sort of affiliations on the continent.
Well, it's Club Bruges, mate. I don't say no more. I wish he'd given more kind of specifications of what he was after. Do you know what I mean?
I think, judging by the fact he's moving away from Spurs, I think it's probably success.
Oh, he wants a successful side on the continent. Oh, gosh. Listen, I think you've got to go to Italy this season. Italy's where it's at. Maybe someone like Sassuolo. I really like Sassuolo. I think they
that guarantee of trophies.
I was
expecting you to say Inter or something.
I'm trying to say, we've talked about Inter, etc. I'm trying to think of a team, perhaps.
I think Atalanta are always the obvious choice. I think because I know they're incredibly hipster, and they've almost gone past the point of being hipster now, aren't they? Because everyone, they're incredible. Yeah. Everyone knows how fun they are. But they are just really fun, and it's like there's this constant. I don't know. It feels like they're always going to be in and around that title race, as long as Gasparini's there, and their transfer policy stays as good as it is. And they play really good football. I just think they'd be a really fun team to follow on a week-to-week basis.
Union Berlin.
That's a great shout.
Love them. Was it Philip Max? They've got that guy in the midfield, Max Cruz, who just creates goals for fun. They're known as the punk team of German football. Their kind of philosophy, and German football as a general is as moralistically positive as it comes. Yeah, Union Berlin.
I really want to go to Union Berlin.
Really interesting history. Actually, doing very well in the Bundesliga. at the moment. Freiburg, if you like a really boring club with sort of
defence first.
Yeah, I think their coach striker's been there for about 20 years now.
Yeah,
which is quite cool. But yeah,
they got a new
Berlin
stadium coming up as well. Freiburg, and also like Freiburg are nice in that if you wanted to go and watch them play, you could like have a little hiking trip in the Black Forest. Quite nice.
Oh, nice! Count me in. Yeah, I think if you're a Spurs fan, you'll be used to trophy droughts. I'd pick up Bayer Leverkusen. Haven't won a trophy since 1993, and they've got a lot of fun attacking players to watch. So yeah, that's our suggestions for Dom, who you should pick up on the continent. Guys, that's all we've got time for on Continental Club for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let us know what you guys thought of our suggestions on how to fix your club's biggest problems and your big match predictions, of course, as well. McCubs, what would you like to push to? You mentioned that scout report earlier. Anything else you've been working on?
Scout report. We had a couple of explains go out on the weekend. One about Marcelo Bielsa's Leeds. They got a win, obviously, midweek with that last-minute penalty, but otherwise, have not been getting the results or actually, putting in the performances that we were used to seeing from last year. So we went a little bit deep on that. A lot of it is about injuries, but nevertheless, go and check that out.
Nice. Henri?
I made my Sunday Vibes foot debut this week. So
stay tuned for that.
They filmed it here just to make me feel a bit more at home. Hated it every second. Watch Continental Club instead. But yeah, go check that out. Other than that, top 10s. I think they're quite negative at the moment, our top 10s. They're all like 10 players.
Yeah. So December ones should be better. There'll be like a lot of January fixes.
People love the negativity.
You do love negativity. It's what works on YouTube, unfortunately. But guys, thank you very much for watching this week. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.